Yeah, bingo. Okay. I want to discuss a subject which is very controversial, even within in messianic or Christian environments. And I want to read to you, therefore, Genesis in first place to start with. It's about a Sabbath or Sunday. Should we observe Sabbath or Sunday? Or does it not matter? Well, okay. Genesis chapter 2. And I'll translate from my Dutch, I'll directly translate, but you can read it in your English version as you may please. Also were completed the heaven and earth and all their lordships. When God on the seventh day, God finished the work that he had made. He rested on the seventh day from all the work that he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it because he finished or rested all from all his work that God has creating made to come about. Okay, so God finished his work on the seventh day. Sixth day he was busy. The sixth day he was working and creating heaven, earth, and everything that's in them. And on the seventh day, God said, okay, now I take a rest. Does God need rest? No. But God, this has more than one meaning for it. In the first place, it is for us an example. God made an example in himself by showing us, hey guys, I did it, I rested on the seventh day, so I want you to do the same. And next to that, God has put the seventh day of rest in the whole his creation, the principle of that. I mean, once in the 7 years, the ground should not be worked upon. The Sabbath year for the ground, 6 years you can work the ground and till all your vegetables and so on. But the seventh day, the ground needs 1 year to recover. And things like that. God is the inventor of life, of us. And God knows that we need rest. 6-day work, 7-day rest. God knows this. He made us, you know. He's our inventor. So he knows that we need it. Next to that, I go to Exodus. Exodus 20, correct. Yes, Exodus 20. Yes. Exodus 20, verse 8. Remember the seventh day, that you sanctify it. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but on the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. You will not do any work, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your servant, nor your servantess, or whatever, the man who will serve you, nor your cattle, nor the stranger in your cities, because in 6 days the Lord has made the heaven and the earth, the sea and all that in them is, and on the seventh day he rested. That's why God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it. Well, you see that the seventh day will be repeatedly mentioned in the Old Testament. But we will find that the Sabbath day is not only mentioned a lot of times in the Old Testament, but also in the New Testament. Jesus kept the Sabbath day. And what we will see is what the Christians do in general is take a Sunday as a resting day. And, well, of course, if you want to do that, that's fine with me. I'm not your judge. I'm not going to judge people about whether to take the Sabbath or Sunday. Because the principle is you need one day of rest in your life. But the thing is, on the other hand, that God himself has appointed a day to do so. He sanctified that day. And so, of course, you may rest on a Sunday, and if you want to do it on a Wednesday, be my guest. I will not judge. I will not judge anybody. But the thing is, God himself told us, well, if you do take a rest, take it on the day that I appointed to you. I didn't do that for nothing. Because the Sabbath day, like I said, it's got also some symbolic value. Because the whole earth history is mentioned in the seventh day of creation, from the first day to the last day. And the seventh day represents, like I said, also for the land to grow crops and so on, but also the seventh day represents the 1,000th year of reign of Jesus Christ, when Jesus Christ will come back, and that will be not so long from now. I don't know how long, but that's not what the Bible tells us when. But when Jesus comes back, he will reign for 1,000 years. And in that 1,000 years of reign of Jesus Christ, of the Messiah, for the Jewish people think he comes the first time. We messianic believers or Christians, or however you want to call us, we think he has already come and comes back. Okay, no matter what, he comes anyhow, and it will be not too long from now. But that seventh day in the creation week represents symbolically also the 1,000 years of reign of Christ, wherein Jesus Christ is reigning, and also there is peace on earth. No war. The weapons will be molten to plows and so on. Somewhere in Isaiah, I think it says. So in that time, the war will not be taught anymore. So there will be rest for 1,000 years long. So the Sabbath day, and that is the Saturday in our culture, is also symbolic for the 1,000 years of peace that will come. So it's more than just a pick of God from, well, that's Tuesday, well, close on Saturday, got nothing to do anyhow. No, there is a reason why God picked that day. There's more than one reason. So, yes, of course, you can rest on a Sunday too. That's fine with me. If you think that's okay, yeah, and you can defend it by the biblically, feel free. Yeah? Okay. But where in the New Testament does it say that the Sunday needs to be observed? Well, there's only one verse that I could find that comes the most closest to observe the Sunday, and that is Acts 20 verse 7, where it says, and when we on the first day of the week, that is a Sunday because Sunday is considered to be the first day of the week, came together to break the bread, and St. Paul gave a speech to them all because he was planned to leave the next day. That's the only verse in the whole New Testament that refers to that people came one time on a Sunday together to break the bread. It is not, and I refer to this, it is not mentioned that this is done on the first day structurally. So every first day of the week. That is not what it says here. Yeah, they came one time on the first day of the week. Yeah, the Saturday, the Sabbath, is mentioned about 9 times in the New Testament, starting from Acts. I'm not speaking about the Gospels where it's mentioned more than once, but I'm speaking of Acts till Revelation. Yeah, it's 9 times mentioned, and I'll mention them to you. It's Acts 13, verse 14. But when they departed from Perga, they came to Antioch in Pisidia, and went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and sat down. is from the King James Version, by the way. I have a program here where it says. So Acts 13, verse 14. The next one is Acts 13, verse 27. And they, for they that dwell at Jerusalem and their rulers, because they knew him not, nor yet the voices of the prophets, which are read every Sabbath day. So the prophets, the Bible, the Old Testament, the prophets are read every Sabbath day. And they have fulfilled them in condemning him. So Acts 13, verse 27. The next one is Acts 13, verse 42. And when the Jews were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath. So they were on the Sabbath. So it actually mentioned 2 times. They were gone out of the synagogue, and the Gentiles, they say, well, come next Sabbath again. So actually they were 2 times. That's Acts 13, verse 42. And Acts 13, verse 44. And the next Sabbath day came almost the whole city together to hear the words of God. Then Acts 15, verse 21. It says, for Moses of old time has in every city them that preach him, being read in the synagogue every Sabbath day. Acts 16, verse 13. And on the Sabbath, we went out of the city by a riverside where a preacher was wont to be made. And we sat down and we spake unto the women which resorted thither. On the Sabbath day, this is dealing about Paul, St. Paul, and he was speaking on the Sabbath day to a group of women. And close to a river, apparently. The next verse is Acts 17, verse 2. And Paul, as his manner was, so he was used to do so, went in unto them, and 3 Sabbath days reasoned with them out of the scriptures. So it's done reading out of the Bible and telling other people about it, just as happens in church right. He did it on the Sabbath, St. Paul. Acts verse 18, verse 4. And he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath and persuaded Jews and the Greeks. Okay, these were the things where it was mentioned. So the disciples, including Paul, teach the people on a Sabbath and not on a Sunday. And I mentioned to you the only time that they came together on a Sunday, on the first day of the week. So what is best to observe? Well, like I said, feel free to observe the Saturday or the Sunday. It's up to you. Like I said, I'm not your judge. Feel free to go on a Sunday to church. I do too. But my resting day, the day of my rest, is on the Sabbath. Today is the Sabbath. And I'm virtually doing nothing. Just making some food at the most and just doing plainly nothing. No work, nothing. And I love it. It's wonderful. I love doing the Sabbath. And next to that, it is actually something that God himself told us to do. So you can do it, of course, whatever you like. You're a free person. But God himself commanded, okay, listen, do it on the Sabbath. Have a resting day on the Sabbath. And I recommend people to do the Sabbath because it's sanctified as well by God. There is the sanctification on it. And so that's actually the message I wanted to share with you. But the main thing is that you take a day of rest. People, a human being is not able to work continuously. God wanted to show us that, hey folks, you need one day rest at least for your own good, for your own health. That's one thing. Next to that, God has put some messages in the resting day of the Sabbath. Ground to be tilled 6 years and 7 year rest. The Jews, by the way, they were actually exiled to Babylon because they didn't observe the Sabbath year for the ground, 70 years long. So God put them away to Babylon and said, well, I'm going to give the land 70 years of rest, and you stay in Babylon for that moment. Yeah, okay, then come back. So God is very particular on the Sabbath day and the Sabbath rest. And because it's the return, it's the coming of the Messiah. The Messiah will come for us the second time, for Jewish people the first time. And he will reign 1,000 years. What the Bible says, for God, one day, creation day, is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. That refers to the symbolic value of one creation day to be 1,000 years in world history. So yeah, God didn't say it for nothing. Observe the Sabbath day. If you want to do it on another day, hey, you're free. But God is clear about it. It's His words, not mine. But again, feel free. I'm going to the church on Sunday as well. But I take my rest on the Sabbath day. Okay, that's what I wanted to share with you.